Welcome to this TARANIS Quick Tip. In this quick tip we're just going to take the back off the radio and just change how the throttle stick works. Now I've been using Spectrum radios until I got this TARANIS, and the throttle is typically a little bit heavier on those radios, and I've got used to flying like that, so when I've been using this TARANIS that had a slightly notchy throttle and was very lightly sprung, I found that I was constantly changing the throttle as I was moving the rudder, and that's just a habit that I've got into. So what I'm going to do is just take the back off the radio, and we're going to have a look at the two things you can adjust at the back of this gimbal to change the way that the throttle feels. To get into a TARANIS radio, pretty straightforward. All you need to do is take out 6 screws, and to take those screws out you're going to need a regular good old-fashioned Phillips screwdriver. These are the actual screws that come from the back of the radio, so they're just metal screws that go into plastic. They're about an inch long. There are 6 of them in total. There are 2 at the bottom, 2 on the shoulders and 2 at the top. The only other thing you need to do is these 2 switches here, this one and this one, you need to just slacken off these nuts that hold the switches in place very slightly as they span the front and back part of the cases, and once you've done that then you'll find that the back should just lift off. And when you separate the 2 halves of the radio, the only thing that connects the front to the back are these 2 ribbon cables. But what we'll do is we'll actually zoom in on the back of the gimbal that's controlling the throttle. So here we are zoomed on the back of the throttle gimbal, and you can see there are 2 springs that are covering 2 cams on the side of the gimbal. The first one, you can just see the ridges on the actual cam itself, and the spring with a little indent in the middle. The tighter that you have this screw, the more it's pressing against those ridges, and those little ridges are what will give it that notchy feel. Now I don't like that, so I've undone this screw to let this spring come away from that cam so that I have a completely smooth movement. The other spring that's behind it is actually pressing against a completely smooth cam, so the friction that you get by tightening this screw makes that throttle stick a little bit stiffer. So for me, what I've done is I've just moved it about half a turn at a time and then just tried the throttle stick until it's got to the point where it feels great. I had to wind that in probably about an entire turn and a half, nearly 2 turns, before it was stiff enough for me. So once you've done that, to put the radio back together in its exact opposite of how you took it apart, close the 2 clamshell pieces, tighten up those 2 little nuts on the shoulders for those 2 switches, and then pop in the 6 screws into the back of the radio, and your gimbal will feel the way you want it to. Thank you for taking the time to watch that video. There are lots of other videos on the channel, and they're carefully ordered into playlists, so you may find that there are other videos on this same subject that you can go and watch. So I would recommend going into the playlist area of Painless 360 YouTube channel and looking around and seeing what there is. You never know what you might find. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and happy flying.